Right, it's 7 o'clock, so good evening, councillors. To tonight's meeting, we'll move swiftly on with the agenda. First part is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. I've received apologies from Councillor June Ashworth, Councillor Alex Ashworth, Councillor Brown, Councillor Cosler, Councillor Mrs Dennison and Councillor Anderson.
Will you record Councillor Davis apology, please? She may get it later on, she's not so well.
Okay, thank you for that. Just while we're on the apologies bit, I understand there's a couple of councillors that aren't feeling well at the moment, so we obviously wish them a speedy recovery. Item 2 is declarations of interest. To receive declarations by members of interest in respect of items on this agenda, members are reminded that in accordance with the Law Act 2011, they're required to declare a disposable pecuniary interest which have not already been declared in the Council's Register of Interests. It's a criminal offence not to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest either in the Register or at meeting. Whilst not a legal requirement in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 10 and in the interest of clarity and transparency, members should declare any disclosable pecuniary interest which they have already declared in the Register at this point in the meeting. In accordance with Part B, Section 2 of the Code of Conduct, members are required to declare the existence and the nature of any interest, other interest as defined in Paras 8.1 or 9.2 of the Code of Conduct. So, with that, do we have any declarations of interest and consideration?
Thank you, Chair. Item 6 on the agenda, the planning, I'm Chair of Planning and Lancaster City Council.
Thank you very much. Councillor Larson.
Thank you. I might not have to declare this, but item 6, planning development. I'm on County Council Development and Control in the Yorkshire Dales planning. And also, I'm not sure, but I know I'm friendly with Dr. Pennyfolds. This is page 29. Dr. Pennyfolds and Diane Smith, and I know Sylvia Fosker.
It's all right. You don't have to declare because you happen to know. You won't be disappointed if you didn't.
I'm planning as well.
Councillor Cliff, planning. Thank you very much. Councillor Whittaker, did you?
No, I didn't.
Right, sorry, I thought you put your hand up. Any other declarations of interest just before we on? No, thank you very much indeed. Wonderful. Item 3 on the agenda is to receive and approve the minutes of the meetings of Council held on the 20th of June 2017. Do we have any points of clarification or questions on those, or can we move to accept them?
Moving, Chair.
Moved by Councillor and seconded by Councillor Harrison. Thank you very much. We'll have to vote on that. All in favour of accepting? Thank you very much, councillors. Any abstentions?
Well, so it would be
You weren't there. Thank you very much. Cheers.
it's inappropriate.
No, that's quite right too. Right, just before we go to the public participation, Mr. Williams, we did are you going to take advantage of your 3 minutes opportunity this evening?
Yeah, I would like to do that, please.
Sorry?
I said I would like to do that.
You would like to, right, okay, fantastic, thank you very much. In which case, we'll adjourn the meeting at this point and move to public participation. Mr. Williams, as you well know, there is a 3-minute opportunity to speak on an item on the agenda at tonight's meeting. There's a microphone at the front of the chamber for you. So if you could please join us, as usual, councillors, we will listen in silence during the address.
Put camera on.
Before we kick on, can I make a polite friendly request, please? Can I ask that what I say is minuted? Not just put in the minutes as a claim. Can I ask, make a polite friendly request, please? Maybe are we being recorded tonight?
You are.
Good.
If
Can I make a plan request? Whatever I say is accurate and minuted and is not put in the minutes as you've been doing and have been coming here as Mr. Williams' claims, because that's totally unacceptable and it's disrespectful.
if you're expecting a transcript, then that's certainly not going to occur in the minutes. Councillor Bates, sir.
I'd like a ruling, Chairman.
Yes.
A point of order. This meeting stands adjourned.
It does.
And all we are required to do, indeed all we should do by law, is record meetings of the minutes. Should only record the meeting, the things that happen in the meeting, and not the things that happen outside the meeting. I understand why Mr.
Yes.
Williams wants his items minuted. There are other opportunities for him to publish the things that he wants to say available to him, and I don't believe in law that we actually should minute them. I don't believe we can minute them, because we're not in a council meeting whilst he's speaking.
Well, can I just ask you to refer you to your standing orders? Because it says in your standing orders that you do. Anyway,
Well,
you know, I make...
notwithstanding that, the reason why you're available to speak at this point is because standing orders are suspended. So, right, I will give you 1 minute warning when you've got 1 minute left, okay, Mr. Williams? So you've got 3 minutes from when you start.
Thank you. Good evening. A few things tonight. The first thing is bids. When Morecambe Town Council make the next bid, can I make a positive suggestion about Morecambe Town Council running a lottery? Because I believe that's one of the things you can actually do to raise some revenue. Can I make a request that you let us know when you're going to produce your next newsletter and when you're actually going to put the newsletters that you've actually produced on your website? Seems pointless not doing that, you're producing them. Your item on your agenda about your gates this evening, in my opinion, based on my research, that is outside the scope of what a parish and town council should be doing. It's something that Lancaster City Council certainly should be doing. And my other item is the toilets. Why did you start a toilet project when the roof was already leaking and it was in Lancaster City Council's programme to do that work? Why has your budget of £35,000 gone overspent? And the VAT, are you able to claim that back? Because based on the payments so far that you've made to your contractor, S.R. Brown, you have made a total payment of £34,777.75, excluding VAT. That excludes 5% retention, so that takes you to £36,608. With the VAT, it's £43,929.79. Your budget cost was £35,000. What I'd like to ask you is, what was in your budget for your officer cost, and how much time and how much money has it cost ratepayers to fund that project? Your toilet income so far is £98.40.
You have 1 minute left, Mr. Williams.
Your toilet income so far is £98.40. You collected three amounts according to your management meetings, and basically the 8th of June, the 15th of June and the 22nd. Bear in mind that you're charging 20p. I can't understand why you're collecting from the 15 £10.50, because that's a multiple of 20 pence according to my maths. And the same applies to the sum on 22nd of June. So perhaps you could clarify those issues for us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, and in time as well. Marvellous. Thank you for raising those points. I've requested that the clerk write to you personally with the answers to those questions. Right. We can now resume the meeting. So, item number 5 is antisocial behaviour, and we're joined tonight by Nick Howard from Lancaster City Council's Environment, Director, who's going to give a bit of a briefing on progress on the ASB officer agenda that's moving forward. So I'll hand over to you, Nick, and then obviously councillors will have an opportunity to ask questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Can everybody hear me okay?
No.
No?
Michael.
Is there a button to press on here?
Yeah,
This one here.
there you go.
It's magic, isn't it? Can you hear me now? Chairman, how long do I have?
As long as you like.
Okay, I'll try not to be over. How many hours do you want?
Some of us did 3 hours last night, so yeah, don't push it too much.
I'll try and keep it to the point for you. So there's a bit of detail that I'd like to give you, and then something about gatherings of young people, which is a particular topical issue at this time of the year, and then a little bit about where we are going with our social behaviour service delivery. So first of all, since January we've had a dedicated social behaviour officer employed by the City Council, and that's currently developing into a small team of our social behaviour officers that will be part-time. From January to June, if you haven't seen this information before, there's been a number of neighbour disputes, nuisance cases, disturbance between households that have been dealt with, and to give you a sense of where they are, Grafton Road, Buxton Street, Hutton Crescent, Brunswick Road, Heathrow Avenue, Thrimley Court, Clarendon Road, that will involve a series of parties, I believe, Ridge Grove, Meldon Road and Foxholes Road. Now, in the process of dealing with those cases, so far we have two households warned us to their conduct, 9 cases where formal community protection warnings have been served. Those are formal powers under the Anti-Social Behaviour Act 2014. 3 cases where community protection notices have been served. The process is that if we're satisfied with antisocial behaviour and there's a set of legal criteria, then we can serve written community protection warning. That warning specifies what good behaviour should be like to correct the problem. If that behaviour is not forthcoming, then we will escalate it to a community protection notice. Once we serve a notice, it's a criminal offence not to comply with the notice. So that wraps up quite quickly into the magistrates' court. We've got 2 cases now that are going to prosecution in the magistrates' court. Now, it's probably worth dwelling on this for a moment. Both of those cases involve parents failing to exercise adequate control over their children, which is a fairly sensitive type of legal control. I think the magistrates are going to have to look at that long and hard. But the evidence is perfectly clear that these are people under the age of 16 for whom we'd expect parental control to be exercised. But those of you who are parents will know that that's a challenging thing. So nonetheless, those cases we've tried to deal with sensitively. We've tried to de-escalate and prevent where we can. And the reason why they've gone into formal action is because there's no longer any alternative if we're going to deal with it. So we're trying to temper a firm and fair enforcement with the opportunity for people to correct their behaviour and get the balance right. So that over the first 6 months of this year, that's a fairly significant body of cases, and it's helping to establish some quite streamlined approaches that we'll be looking to take. Alongside those routine cases, we have had in Westminster Road and Gardner Road a problem with a young gang causing antisocial behaviour, and that's been dealt with. Now that's part of the record of community protection warnings and community protection notices, and one of those prosecutions is relevant to that location, just so that you're aware. And I believe that's with the courts now. Perhaps if I go on to the problems with young people gathering, most recently we've had issues with tourism and Bear. There's a bit of detail here that I have from the Antisocial Behaviour Officer who can't be with you, if it's helpful. So our original plan, working quite closely with the neighbourhood policing team, was to contact secondary schools, enlist their support, and those of you who are parents of children still at school have all received a letter in relevance to antisocial behaviour, so you'll be aware of the approach that we're trying to take, which is not to blame people, and we were perfectly conscious that the majority of young people just want somewhere to go. They're not looking to cause trouble, but sometimes trouble follows gatherings of young people, which is unfortunate. We have recruited at the City Council a temporary youth ASB worker, and I'll touch a bit more on their work in a moment. Now what we're asking them to do is to analyse the problem, speak to young people, speak to parents, challenge cases. So if the police, who have the responsibility on the night to be first to see where there's a particular problem of antisocial behaviour, but the police struggle then to track families and require that there are improvements made to behaviour, and that's where the City Council can come in. So at the moment what we're doing is to provide some pairing up with neighbourhood policing officers where it's possible. It's more tricky on Friday and Saturday nights, as you understand, because with limited policing, ASP is not always the top priority, depending on what the needs are on the night. So that caseworker is providing contact with families, she's providing constructive challenge, and the parents are very often pointing to the kids and saying, I told you it would go this way if you didn't behave yourself. Which is interesting that it takes the caseworker to be there for that extra conversation to be had. And the casework has also been out during gatherings of young people, particularly on Friday and Saturday nights, to have a conversation about why you're here and what brought you here, and do you have concerns about the behaviour that sometimes goes on. So we're trying to get underneath the skin of why is this happening, what exactly would solve the problem. Where parents are visited but they continue to cause problems, then they will be taken through the process that we have, which is a letter with a community protection warning, escalated to a community protection notice, escalated to prosecution. Okay, so the community, with our community safety officer, we're in the process of identifying this pool of young people, and what we tend to find is there's a very small number who have a committed will to cause antisocial behaviour and low-level crime, and there's a wider number that might get sucked into something, and there's a much larger number who have no interest in antisocial behaviour. And what's really important is we don't just tar all of our young people with the same brush. That's totally wrong. Okay, so if I think you have a particular interest in the children and young people and what activity we've got. So I've got a fair set of notes here, and you can stop me whenever you wish to. So the police and the City Council have agreed to work jointly on an operation which we're going to call Operation Respect. You might have heard of this already. It's not something we're going to bandy in the media as a very big thing. It's something that we want to quietly get on and do in that preventative approach where it works. The police have provided an officer to act as a coordinator, and the City Council has provided the youth outreach worker, funded to roughly 10 hours a week. No, that's not a lot, but in terms of out-of-hours contact, it's providing some really useful information, and I'll touch on that. The objective is to make parents take responsibility for the behaviour of their children. Currently, intelligence suggests that some parents are supplying their children in a car with alcohol to a gathering at night, and that's clearly unacceptable for younger teenagers. So there are some significant issues going on. And of course, if you provide young teenagers with alcohol to an open space gathering, you're just asking for trouble. You're certainly not exercising your responsibility. So all the secondary schools have been contacted, and they've all helped by sending out correspondence to parents before the summer holidays. The Morecambe Police Facebook site's being used, and you probably see the messages that are on there. The home visits to children identified as being involved in ASB, that programme is going quite well. So some weekends we have poor weather, as we've had just recently, and those are weekends where the caseworker would go to family visits rather than be out trying to see where the gatherings are happening. Interestingly, what we're finding already, and we're about 4 weeks in, is that the message is starting to get out to the wider community, and so the problem is starting to shift where the kids are aware that this attention is being paid. So already there seems to be a little bit of a shift away from Torres home and there, which is where there's been a focus of home and parental activity. Now, I'm not looking to push it into other parts of your town council area, so we're looking to deal with all areas. But that's interesting to note that there seems to be a bit of a response happening. These kids who are gathering have got pretty acute awareness of what's going on, and I'll touch on that again in a moment. So parents of 2 girls found in possession of alcohol have already been visited at home, and so that probably would have been a joint police visit. Parents of a larger group of youths who were stopped and checked for antisocial behaviour in Bear, they're currently all being visited at home. Parents have had their advisory letters, and they're clear on what action will be taken if antisocial behaviour problems come to light. When we visit people who are complaining about antisocial behaviour, because clearly there are victims of antisocial behaviour, we're keen to find out what are their views, what can they tell us about exactly what's happening, what they would like to see happen. What we don't want is to provide a public service where we trample all over the wishes of the local community with size-minded. So it's important to be sensitive to what is the community's preferred solution. School buses and trains, where ASB has been reported, if I use that abbreviation for antisocial behaviour, they've been checked, and there'll be an eye kept on whether antisocial behaviour reoccurs on public transport. Residents visited on Alston Drive. They experienced a large number of youth gathering in the wood behind the house. So they said they couldn't sit outside in the evenings due to the swearing and other noise that was coming from these kids, so that's one of the cases that's been dealt with. There's been property damage at that same address, and fence panels kicked in, the sort of thing that can happen when things start to get out of control. Houses visited in Penny Gardens in Torresholme, where they're back onto the park, with kids sitting on the wall with their legs dangling over, and insults and intimidation. Residents up and down Low Lane experiencing weekly verbal abuse from youths and some damage to walls and gardens. So you can see patterns starting to form in terms of where these things happen. What we're starting to find is that the young people are tending not to come out until after the antisocial behaviour car, the police car, has finished its shift. Logs from the past 4 weekends show that typically they're coming out from 10 o'clock onwards, and there is some information to suggest that the kids know what the registration numbers are of the cars, so they're able to avoid them. So it's useful to get this sort of intelligence information. It helps us to decide what our approach ought to be. Young people and parents are being visited on a weekly basis if their names are appearing more than once. I think it's really important that when we do make an intervention with family, that's not seen as a slap on the wrist or a one-off. So if there's persistent problems, then we will escalate that, and the families need to know that we'll be there, which is something the police would struggle to provide with their more emergency frontline service. So that's the nature of service we're looking to provide. I'm about a minute away from the end of my detail, if that's okay. Local off-licence shops have been visited and talked to about the sale of alcohol to young people. We're aware of some intelligence that kids are encouraging vulnerable adults to purchase alcohol for them, so we're keeping quite a close eye on that with the police. Young people are saying, well, because we're speaking to them about what would solve this problem, what would help you, they're saying there's nothing to do in Morecambe. They believe that going to the Barrows is out of the way, and the best option they've got is staying away from residents and staying away from causing trouble. So that's what's being said. Social media is contributing to large gatherings, so kids are able to organise themselves and decide where to meet, so we're aware of that. And Snapchat is particularly popular with the younger age groups. Young people have been spoken to about consequences of their actions, and we're building up a profile on that. Restorative justice will be put in place, and this is where we will look to try to mediate a problem and solve it rather than just slap over an enforcement warning on it. So we want to be really careful that we don't just overdo enforcement. There are local authority areas where enforcement is seen as the answer to everything. If we just slap enforcement on everything, then we're not going to be doing a very good service by most of our community. And just to conclude, so far during the operation times we've had for antisocial behaviour, and that's particularly up to 10 p.m, we've found that there's been relatively low levels of antisocial behaviour compared to previous years. But this could be partly because of unusually poor weather at the weekends, and we're aware of that. But the ASB pattern does seem to be shifting later into the evening, up to about 2 o'clock in the morning, and clearly this is starting to get outside the times when the antisocial behaviour response car from the police is available. So that's about as far as I was going to go in briefing you. I wanted to give you some reassurance about the level of practical action that's being taken. We have just recruited or made offers to 2 part-time antisocial behaviour officers who've got really strong backgrounds to come and join us. And if we are successful, because we're waiting on some transformation challenging award funding from the West End, we expect to supplement that with a further 2, which would be, not on current plans, they would be antisocial behaviour patrol officers. So the first 2 would be there to solve complex problems, and the last 2 patrol officers will be there in uniform at appropriate times to provide some additional public reassurance, and accompanying the police on, say, Friday, Saturday night on a shift pattern, so that we can be identifying kids and following them through the system. I've given you quite a lot of detail, but I hope that detail is helpful to you. It may cause more questions than answers. Thank you.
I've got indications for questions. I've got 2 already, and okay. Right. Go on, Maxie, your hand was up first. Go for it.
I'm surprised to say that the ASBO officer has been in place since January, because we've had lots of problems I've been working with Ishmael School, with the neighbours, with the police on Grafton and Garden Road, with gangs of kids. Now one of the elderly neighbours has had to put cameras all around his house, and it's ended up in a disaster. So, you know, I told him not to sort of these children let him get the better side of him, but it's all been a disaster. So, and I've been working with Aid in Halls as well, the police, but I know they can't be in there 24 hours a day, but it's just a nightmare. And I went to visit with the school, one of the parents, and obviously, you know, of course their children are perfect. So, so my question is, how long does it take to give a warning or formal action to the parent? How long does it take?
Well, the background information, the Antisocial Behaviour Office started in January, and they were a retired inspector from local police force, which has helped because they've been bridging and forming some really good working relationships with the neighbourhood policing team. And part of their work has been to develop a background picture of what was being done before, so they haven't been able to spend all of their time on case duty and out on patrol. But as we established the full team, that would be a much bigger presence. Just to answer your question, if we're satisfied on witnessing antisocial behaviour and it's sufficiently bad, then a warning letter, which would be the formal community protection warning, can be issued straight away. That's done by post, follow, and we do have to put certain care into the wording of that letter so that later it will satisfy the magistrates if we have to escalate it to prosecution. So there's no particular delay in getting to a formal stage of community protection warning, as long as the behaviour that we're witnessing is bad enough at the time. Clearly, if there's an opportunity to de-escalate the antisocial behaviour, we would take that route. So we will often provide an opportunity, particularly if we're met with a reasonable response from the person we're dealing with. Sometimes we're not, and then we're left with no alternative.
Thank you. Councillor Bates.
I pretty much approve of everything that you're setting out to do. I couldn't not do it because it's all the kind of things you'd expect to have done. I am, like Councillor Patterson, I'm a bit disappointed that the Antisocial Behaviour Office has been in place since January. It all seems to me to have been a bit slow getting off the mark. I can only speak for the wards that I represent, but in Torres Home, the problems at Old Penny Gardens and the problems on Torres Home Barrows have been ongoing for 8 years.
Yeah.
They are well documented. Anybody coming into the task to solve the antisocial behaviour problems has there at least a very good record of what's been going on and should have been able to get to grips with it. And have a flying start almost, because it's a certain place, you know, where the problem is. It's a certain problem which is always the same and always known and which you can tackle. And whilst I do appreciate that young people don't generally and fundamentally gather with the purpose of being badly behaved, I do realise that. Nonetheless, if it gets so far that people do have bricks or bottles or whatever it was thrown through windows as a residence vault in present time, if it gets that far, it's almost too late really to solve the problem. Those areas in and about the problem should have been solved. However, as a result of everything you've told us this evening, well, not necessarily solved, but addressed anyway, a lot sooner than they have been, but as a result of what you've told us this evening, I have one particular, well, 2 questions really. The first one is, I am a bit disturbed to hear that the kids are hanging around until they know there's nobody going to go out to catch them. So what are you doing about that? Presumably we're going to be doing something about that. And secondly, perhaps more germane in general to the general issue, what measures are you going to have in place, if you haven't already got them, for assessing the outcomes of all the activities that you're doing? Because I know this council will want to know, certainly long before we start thinking about whether it's worthwhile employing the antisocial behaviour officer, we're going to want to know what the results of his work has been, and we're not just going to want anecdotal evidence, we're going to want tangible evidence, tangible outcome evidence that we can make a judgment about.
Thank you. So I've got three questions there that I'm happy to answer. If I just let you know, the antisocial behaviour officer that we currently employed, we've had to sacrifice another post to create that. And what was created was 2 days a week. So we had 2 days a week from January. And with quite a bit of background work to do to decide where to put the City Council's response alongside the police response. Clearly we don't have the police powers, and we can't do what the police are doing, and the police have got powers of their own. What I can't speak for is what the neighbourhood policing team's plans are. I don't have that information with me in terms of varying the hours of the antisocial behaviour car in response to what we're now finding out. Some of that's quite new information, so I can't give you a response to that now. But it may be that we develop a bit of a regular progress reporting in where we can let you know what we have been able to do as a response to the information that we're gathering. Your questions about the measures, the way we're going to measure the impact of activity. There's an easy part to answering that, and there's a hard part to which we don't yet have the answer. The easy part is we already have measures for other parts of service delivery where we're interested to measure our response time to reported problems. Number two, satisfaction that customers have who complained about problems, and their rating of how much impact we made. So currently we are measuring the impact that our service makes. How much difference does it make to the customers? We have introduced a more streamlined doorstepping service for a very early challenge to cases, and we're using that sort of approach with the parents and the young children. Currently we're getting a very high satisfaction rate with that service, about 89% satisfaction rate at the moment, and the vast majority of complainants are telling us that there is a positive difference made to the problem. We may not have solved the problem at one fell swoop, but that some improvement has been made, and that's coming from the vast majority. It's very unusual that the problem is made worse. But clearly, when we intervene and start to give telling-offs and warnings, we could inflame the situation, and occasionally it will make it worse, and we'll have to move towards enforcement. Finally, and it's too early to have any measure of this yet, we have got a measure of what is the percentage of repeat occurrence. So when we go to an address and we deal with antisocial behaviour, are we within 12 months being called back to the same address? And that will be a key measure. We want our service to have the right effect the first time, not the second, not the third. So we'll be measuring the proportion of cases we have to go to more than once. And clearly, if it didn't work the first time, we want to learn what could we do better in future. Now, what we don't have yet is a measure across the community of the Morecambe Town Council area of how many people feel they are affected by antisocial behaviour, but that's something that we'd have to do with wider partners. It's not a simple thing to get a measure like that together across a very wide stretch of population. But I think that's going to be a key measure for us to be able to be clear that the community's concerns are being addressed, and antisocial behaviour is, as a whole, coming down and not just being shifted from one location to another. I'm aware that won't give you a complete picture yet, but as we progress and report on how antisocial behaviour response is going, I hope that you'll be able to see that there's a rapid response rate.
Thank you for that. Right, we've got 8 further questioners, so bear with, as I say. Janice?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just on that last item, Nick, and thank you very much for coming, by the way. We did do a survey, Morecambe Town Council carried out a survey. One of the questions was, how many people are affected by antisocial behaviour? So we have got that information if you'd like to see it. But the question I would ask is, you can clearly see why we need antisocial behaviour officers. It's going on, it's getting worse again. I mean, we did fund police and community support officers. The reason why we stopped doing that, because we couldn't task them. We didn't know what we were doing at any given time during the day and night. And they didn't, what's he doing? We didn't know what we were doing, we couldn't task them, so we didn't know. But it says in this piece here that you will receive £14,000 of town council funding, and there will be a policy made. So my question is that policy written that we can look at and see what we can actually do? And will the antisocial behaviour officers come to our newly formed antisocial and whatever it's called Community Safety Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. There are, for the Morgan Town Council funding allocated for social behaviour, there are two options. Option one, a dedicated officer that just responds to Morgan Town Council problems. Option two, that that funding is built into a wider antisocial behaviour team, so that you haven't just got one officer when they're on duty, but you've got the call on a range of officers when they're on duty. And if I tell you that in the Lancaster districts that antisocial behaviour is disproportionately in the Morecambe area, I've got reason to believe that the second of those options gives you a larger impact on the problem. Clearly that's a matter for you to decide. We are currently putting together, we're just finalising the draft of a service level agreement, which will include the sort of measures that I described in answer to the previous question, and that will give you the opportunity to decide if you're happy with that service level agreement as a method for going forward. If it helps further, the intention then, if we are successful with the Transformation Challenge Award funding, is that we will have an antisocial behaviour team leader who will be a practical person on the ground, and then we'll have two antisocial behaviour officers, and if we're successful with West End funding, we'll have two antisocial behaviour patrol officers, and that's where the impact on gatherings out of hours is particularly helpful. So that's the intention, that's our intentions for the size of the unit, and that's what we would hope that this service level agreement will cover. And if you're satisfied with that, that will form the basis for ongoing monitoring of the impact we have and the success.
Thank you, Chair. I think one or two people have already raised concerns, and I think both John and I did fundamentally raise when we met with the City Council. We expressed quite considerable surprise that the barrows didn't appear to have been targeted. A number of areas where special orders were going to be made, we were told about, but the barrows and the gardens were not included. Those. We did specifically say that we thought the barrows was a very serious problem, and as John said, it's certainly been going on for more than 8 years. The other problem that we've got is that actually we did raise the problem when we were told at the time of the support vehicle was going to be limited to 10 o'clock. And I think the general view was, and everybody said it at the time, well, yeah, they'll just come after. What are you going to do? And Bertie said, oh, we'll wait and see. The problem is, the inevitable has happened. It is a concern, and I think it is something that probably we're going to have to ask both yourselves and the police to formulate between yourselves, because I think that's the important thing, that it's all very well, you have these people working and doing their thing, the police have their people working and doing their thing, and what we really do need to get is an agreed service level agreement and an agreed distribution of responsibility, because it seems to me that what we are doing is the police are now not going to provide the out-of-hours vehicle. What we're going to do is, on very short-term funding with the community fund, we're going to sort of have a short-term, we'll have these people in for a brief period, they will use the West End monies for that 1 or 2 years. I mean, hopefully more, but I think the problem is it will be a limited amount of money, and it will be virtually a fire station approach, that you go in, you put them down, and unless there is a combined operation between the two, what you're saying is transferring to another site will be exactly what happens. And the problem is, because those posts are temporarily funded, once the funding stops, the problems will reoccur. So, we really do need both a combined strategy and a long-term strategy to deal with the problem and to deal with it effectively.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what your question is.
The question is, are you actively working with the police? Is the proposal that you are going to replace what was the police antisocial behaviour vehicle with a West End funded vehicle doing virtually the same thing? So that actually is freeing up police resources. The reasonable thing to ask them is, can we have equivalent support that when these officers encounter problems, they have them. So it's just a question. You're going to have to join it all up, and I think people are going to want to see that it's joined up. And specifically, because some of the funding that you've referred to is temporary, what are you going to do when the funding runs out?
Okay, I can't really deal with the question of what will we do when the funding runs out at this early stage. Our job right now is to get the service established, and then you can then based on the results you'll be able to see who will be the best place to answer that question. It's probably important, and maybe I didn't say this at the start, the City Council's Social Behaviour Service will not replace any aspect of police service. It's designed to augment and work alongside it. So the City Council will not be producing an out-of-hours antisocial behaviour patrol car. That is the role of the police. We will not be handcuffing or providing a police-style challenge to antisocial behaviour, but we will be providing the City Council's response, which will include a full range of enforcement options, either on the night or to follow. In terms of a fire station approach, one reason why I can see that there's a desire for more action than we've been able to take so far, but we've tried our best to proportion the time of our antisocial behaviour officer, the first antisocial behaviour officer who's part-time, between solving these problems for the future and not just taking a short-term approach of putting out fires. So the intention is to have a preventative approach, to start to have an impact on reducing the likelihood of antisocial behaviour in the future, not just cases as they come up. That will be just putting fires out. That's absolutely not what we wanted to do, and that's why it's not been a total case-related action by the antisocial behaviour officer. Secondly, the relationship between the antisocial behaviour team, the City Council and the police is extremely close. You would expect that because we've got a former police inspector who's our antisocial behaviour officer, but I've been particularly careful to make sure that that's going to be an arrangement that works well all round for the community, not just for the police. With no offence to the police. So our concern is to make sure that we are as closely tied in with what the police can offer as we possibly can be. And that's something we'll be able to monitor as we go along. So far, it seems to be working really quite well. The reason why the list of cases, which I think is a substantial list, isn't even longer, is because those are our lead cases. The other lead cases where the police is the lead and the council has provided support will be the other side of the story. So when our antisocial behaviour officer first arrived, there was more police action that was already underway, and that's what we've been supporting. So in some cases we will be gathering statements and evidence for the police to take a lead action, because some antisocial behaviour cases will remain theirs to lead. So just to summarise, the City Council service will not be replicating what the police do. We expect the police to do that. Should the police withdraw from antisocial behaviour, and there's no sign that that's going to happen, quite the opposite. But if they did, the City Council cannot fill in for the police service. What we're keen to do is to demonstrate that we're able to have such an impact the police couldn't possibly justify withdrawing any aspect of their service under the financial climate that we're facing. So I hope that answers the question as best I can for now. One last thing, there was a reference made to the barrows and whether or not they could be targeted in the public space protection order. Yes, I noted that request, and I passed it on to our local authority coordinator for producing the public space protection order. It's not in my gift to do that, but that information was passed forward. I'm aware that there are certain tests and criteria they have to meet if they were to extend the area of the order. I'm afraid I can't help you any further with that. We certainly did pass that on.
Thanks, Nick. John Hanson?
Yeah, hi. Just what you've been saying, I agree with everything you say, but we've had this for the last 2 years, talking about what the police are going to do. We've had it for 2 years in our liaison committee. I must have phoned the police for last year, from where I live, on behalf of the people as well. I must have phoned them 10 times, and the first word you get from whoever's on the other end of the line, you're not a priority. You get that every time. Jonathan will tell you that. And to be honest, where I live, you know, and I can't speak for our area and what I see in the West End. I had a meeting the other week at my house with the policeman, told him everything, gave loads of information from my neighbours. It didn't make a bit of difference. That's what you've got to do. It's Charles, what you've got to do. We took this money away from you, but you still should do the work because we're ratepayers. And what it means is, if you haven't got enough staff, it means doing a little bit more work. That in any business that you're in, if you're short staff, you work a little bit harder. We never see police patrols, I don't know where they go. You see them sat in car parks, I saw them Saturday night, just sat in a car park, two of them. Instead of sitting in the middle of, say, the promenade. So I've got a right lot of faith in the police, to be honest. But I agree with everything that you've all said. Whether this fella's going to make any difference, I don't know. But if you got one of these fellas, I've never seen them. Unless we guess.
What you can say about that, isn't it? Right.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean you can't say about that?
Well, he's not going to comment on what the police are or not doing operational.
You're not doing enough.
But we all know that, that's why we cut the funding to PCSOs. Jim?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I think the original question's been largely answered. I'd just like to say thanks, Nick. It's been very interesting listening to what's going on, and yeah, good look at it. We all agree with that. But one question though, have you any idea of the direction of travel of antisocial behaviour in the area over the last few years? You know, I know this is a fairly new but is it an escalating problem, or is it just a problem that you decided to tackle a bit more seriously? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. That is a very good question. The Community Safety Partnership for Lancaster District is, certainly from the City Council point of view, we'd like to see a more tactical focus on antisocial behaviour, and therefore we will be looking to track whether things are getting better or worse. If our antisocial behaviour officer was here, he could provide you with a pretty accurate answer as to whether things are getting better or worse. But certainly what we're hearing about news gathering seems to be on the increase, not on the decrease. Having said that, we're aware of people who, let's say, are more mature these days, who when they were at school 30 years ago would have gone to teaching biology in some holidays. So some of these things aren't new, and some of these things are community issues of long standing. One of the parts of antisocial behaviour I've not talked very much about will be the piece of work done to identify what are the diversional activities that kids would take up that are seeing them in open spaces where problems are being encountered. So that's something we're going to spend quite a bit of time to get to the bottom of. And having spent some time with CBS already, in Lancaster, I'm aware that there's a really strong appetite for any support that the private sector or the voluntary sector can do to help us. And we're starting now to just starting to develop some thorny questions that we could be asking of our colleagues in the voluntary sector, such as, is there a way in which potentially some of the previous wrongdoers could be turned around and encouraged to be some of the people who help us to solve some of our antisocial behaviour problems, knowing it from the inside. So we're trying to get quite a careful blend of enforcement and responsive work with the preventative work as well. So I think I'm briefed that antisocial behaviour is on the increase and it is a significant problem. I'm only here because you know that already and you wanted me to be here. Our expectation is that we'll have an impact within 12 months that we'll see that reduce. Now, whether or not that means we can say that it's reduced en masse across Morecambe, I don't know, but we would expect to see any cases that do get repeated go straight through the enforcement process. And our job is to make sure that enforcement process is sufficiently intimidating for offenders that they don't want to do it again.
Thanks very much. Carl, you're next.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Hi, Nick. Thanks very much for coming tonight. Yes, I think we've got the beginnings of an antisocial behaviour team here, and I think that's very reassuring because I know that we are keen to have this in our area because it's been seen to work in other areas and it's had very encouraging results. Some of the questions that I had have already been addressed. I want to talk about, or ask you some questions, just about three things really. First of all, about communication, how we're going to communicate this to our residents. I know that Janice touched on a questionnaire that we have for our residents. He didn't specifically talk about antisocial behaviour. He talked about PCSOs and whether people felt reassured by the presence of PCSOs or not. And that was related to a question of whether we were going to fund PCSOs in the future. So there's that, because obviously we need to understand where the problems are of antisocial behaviour within the Morecambe Town Council area, so that that's communicated back within your team and indeed to the police. So I want to know how we're going to communicate this, whether we need to engage as a town council in gathering some information for you. So there's a question about communication. And And you talked about measurement KPIs, so that's another thing. And also, just touch on outcomes, restorative justice. Can you just sort of tell me a little bit about what you've got in mind in terms of restorative justice and you know, outcomes obviously will be very much, as you said, dependent on what the community wants. So if you could just flesh that out and sort of tell me a little bit about what you've got in mind in that respect. And just a little bit about diversionary tactics that you were talking to. I'm very interested in that because from my point of view as a councillor, we have a community centre in my patch that's struggling financially at the moment, and that is something that we need to think about in a joined up sort of way, because obviously if that would threaten with closure, for example, then that would be an even greater problem that we would have within that area. And as you know, Heysham is an area where we do have a significant amount of antisocial behaviour from time to time around the barrels and things. So I'd like to think there was a bit of joined up thinking going on in terms of what you find, in terms of antisocial behaviour problems, what your outcomes could be, and potential for the councils to be looking at those diversionary tactics and looking at places such as community centres, which, let's face it, we don't want them to close because that creates a whole raft of other social problems. So I hope I haven't given you too many things to think about there, but that's my questions.
Thank you. I've got those 3 questions. I haven't necessarily got all the answers to those 3 questions, but I'll do my best for you. So the first thing to say is, what works for Morecambe is what works for Morecambe. What we don't want to do is to lift things that have been tried somewhere else and just drop them down in Morecambe for your antisocial behaviour. So we're really keen to find out what will make the difference. So we'd like to start with, so for example, with residents who've been affected by antisocial behaviour, one thing we'll want to do is to talk to them, which we've started already, to find out what is it that would reassure you, rather than just try what's been used somewhere else, which is the council just deciding, just making it up as it goes along and just telling people how it's going to be. And we want the opposite service. We want the service where our residents, and this is something we're doing in our antisocial behaviour service delivery already, which is when people ring up to complain, before we decide what the answer is going to be, we will say, well, what did you rang? What is it you'd like to happen? And surprisingly enough, it's not always, I want them out, I want them gone. So it's a lot more subtle than that. So we will be looking to find out exactly what it is that impacts negatively on public reassurance, in order that can be what we focus our attention on. If that sounds like a woolly answer, it's not meant to be, but we need to be providing what your communities need, not just what we've made up. So, but public reassurance, and this is something that's at the core of the City Council Service for Antisocial Behaviour. It's all very well to deal with cases. If we quietly deal with cases and nobody knows, everybody still thinks there's a big problem, and that's not what we are setting out to do. So public reassurance needs to be just as important as the action that we're taking. But I don't have the answer to exactly what those communication methods would be. I do know, and I think we'll all know, that the Morecambe Area Police Facebook pages seems to be quite a good example of providing some reassurance and some public explanation for what's being done in their name with their money. So I'm not sure we've got a direct match for that, but already that page is being used to communicate some of our antisocial behaviour messages, and you might have seen 1 or 2. So that's a question, so if that helps with question number 1. In terms of restorative justice could be something as small as, I've come to see you because of a complaint. You're telling me that you recognise that you've been causing a bit of a problem. Now, why don't we get you and your neighbour to go and have a conversation if we can't sort it out, and press the reset button. And that would be our principle of de-escalating, rather than making worse antisocial behaviour by just willingly serving enforcement actions. So by restorative justice, it could be anything from a simple, should we get you two together to have a conversation and see if we can sort this out here and now, and then we can all move on, to anything further where we invite 2 parties in together or separately. The police have got a fully trained restorative justice team, and where necessary we would use those, but we'd expect to have some sufficient training within the antisocial behaviour service, so it can be done there and then. We don't want to be wasting time by having to call meetings 2 weeks after we've dealt with the case. Far better dealt with there and then. So far, streamlined service, I've got results for the first 171 cases, and I refer to the streamlined doorstepping service earlier. That's a service where we don't necessarily carry out full investigation, which can be quite expensive in terms of the time it takes to gather witness statements and photographic evidence. That would be quite a costly way of dealing with every single case. So where we can deal with cases more simply, that's what we are doing. And one way of doing that is saying to the person who complains, would you like us to just go and knock on the door of your neighbour and then just put it to them? We haven't got the evidence at this stage, but if that works, we've got a tried and tested service. So that's a way of trying to spend the minimum amount of money on a case, and if that solves the case, then that's great. We'll deal with more troublesome cases with more attention. So if that helps, that's how we're trying to go. We've got a very high satisfaction rate for that service at the moment, but we're keeping that under review. And thirdly, diversionary tactics. Now, I'm going to say the same sort of things I said in answer to the first question. The diversionary tactics needs and outlets for young people in particular need to be whatever works for the young people. And what works in Torsholm and Bear or in Lancaster isn't necessarily what's going to work in the West End and Morecambe or another location. So we need to get really under the skin of exactly what is it that you would attract you to not being where you are and being somewhere better managed, where social behaviour is not going to happen. So that's the approach that we're going to take. I think we're really keen. We recognise that there might be some community centres or locations that are already established, and there might be some things that need to be established to meet the needs of the young people. So far, we've talked about young people as an antisocial behaviour problem, and I don't mean that they're all antisocial. On the other hand, young people are a key part of your local communities, and clearly you want to meet their needs. So part of this work is intended to see what that's not happening already. Some people might take up diversion activities that are already out there, but they're just not connected with them. But what we're looking to find out is exactly what's missing that would discourage most people from the sort of gatherings that are a particular problem. If that helps, that's my answer to your questions.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Ryan. I've got David, Debbie and Terry in order. David?
Thank you, Nick, for giving this presentation this evening. It's been very uplifting to hear what you're planning to do. I've got a few questions, but I just want to make an observation, and I think most people will agree that in the last few years the police have been significantly cut and resources have been cut nationally, so that is bound to have an impact on police responses. But the questions I want to ask you have been questions made that have been passed on to me to see if I can address them. And they're mainly not to do with use, it's to do with drug taking, really, open drug taking. In one street, which was raised to me just yesterday, and I will pass that street on to you confidential, I don't want it really be in the public domain. But also the other question is, how do we address the issue of drug taking in back streets when residents complain about drug taking in back streets? It's been raised today, the possibility of alligating. I mean, my question would be, I think I know the answer, how much would that cost, and is that achievable, particularly when there's a row of houses where there's landlords, absentee landlords? There's a lot more to it than alligating, but is that a feasible option? Would you think, or would people in higher authority think that would be a way to address these issues of drug taking in back streets? Thank you.
Thank you. That question is one of them I expected to come up because we have significant problems not only with young people gathering, but mental health source and social behaviour and drug and alcohol abuse related and social behaviour. In the recent recruitment to the antisocial behaviour team, we've been really keen not just to try and pick on people with an enforcement and investigation experience, but if possible, people who have a history of dealing with either young people and issues, mental health and issues, or drug and alcohol problem-related issues. So we would expect, as far as we possibly can, to bring some of those skills into the antisocial behaviour team. I have to say, drug taking in back streets is a police matter. It's criminal activity, it's a police matter, but it's also particularly antisocial, and the police cannot always be where those problems are. So it absolutely would be part of the antisocial behaviour approach that we'd expect to take, and we'd be looking to receive reports about that sort of problem and to deter it as far as we can do. So absolutely that would be part of the antisocial behaviour team. What we haven't done is to cost what that type of service activity would look like. So the small antisocial behaviour team is going to have to cover a wide patch, perhaps it will cover the whole Lancaster district, with disproportionately more antisocial behaviour related problems. So in relation to drug related activity, what we need to find out is where do we fit the City Council's antisocial behaviour service closely to what the police are already doing, so we don't repeat what they're doing, but we make sure you've got a joined up service. Now, I haven't answered your question fully, but I've done the best I can, I think, at this early stage.
Yeah, it just concerns me when you get residents who say they phone the police when they see over taken back streets or indeed a street in Waltham, and police response is nil.
Chairman, if I may, just to add to what I said already, until January when we started a dedicated antisocial behaviour service, the council had said that's a police matter. Now we say that's an antisocial behaviour matter and we'll help you as best we can, recognising that working closely with the police is the way to solve it. So that's a significant shift, I think, in the nature of the service, but clearly you need to see the results of the team established and doing that sort of work to judge for yourselves.
Debbie?
Hi, Nick. Thank you for your summary. I think it sounds amazing, the ambition that you and your team have with whatever you've got planned for the next year. I guess I had two questions on mind. One was about volunteers. How could you develop that? But I know you've already summarised that that's something you're looking at, so that's brilliant. The second one was there was an incident in my ward at a business premises which was antisocial behaviour from a house in the morning, which then went into criminal damage to both the building and then to a member of the public's car. Police absolutely just dismissed it completely, won't involve themselves, and seem to be detaching themselves from what your ambition is, seems to be completely opposite. The business then decided to do, and I guess my question is, do you support just the members of the public and residents, or do you support businesses with that support? The business did a Facebook ambition, and two of the culprit's parents actually came in and apologised and took ownership, which was brilliant. However, then the police told us to remove the Facebook because there was bullying involved. So it feels really quite detached with the ambition from what you're talking about, and you talked about how police are attending lots of houses and having lots of visits. I guess, is the line being pulled away from where it involves criminal damage as well? And I know you might not be able to answer those questions, but there seems to be a divide.
Thank you very much. We would expect to support businesses exactly the way we'd expect to support domestic residents or visitors to the area. We wouldn't make a distinction between any of those. Sometimes businesses are the focus, and sometimes they don't want to be, and we're finding out why that might be. So if you had a late night grocery store that has free Wi-Fi and it has an alley next to it, then that might well be a reason why kids would choose to associate in a particular place. And wherever we are getting antisocial behaviour focus, we'll be looking to see what's the underlying causes. Is it related to a particular business or something else about the local area? So absolutely we'll be looking to support businesses. I can't speak for the police, but in terms of our antisocial behaviour service relationship with the police, we're not seeing any withdrawal of services, but I do recognise that the police resources are stretched. I'm not saying that the police don't have their problems with the resources, but we're not seeing any withdrawal where they say, now that you're providing a service, we won't. When I refer to home visits, largely they're not police and antisocial behaviour officer. They're started with the police identifying a case, and they're passed on for home visits by the local authority. So the police haven't moved to home visits rather than patrolling. That's definitely not happened. But where we have particularly challenging and problem cases, clearly we might need to go with police to addresses where we anticipate we're going to get a very hostile reception, but that won't stop us from dealing with them. So just going back to the start of your question, you referred to criminal damage. Criminal damage is a police matter, but I haven't been victim of that myself, and maybe members of the committee, town council here who have as well. Clearly it's antisocial at the same time. So what we need to do is to fit the local authorities' capacity to respond around what the police is already able to do. We haven't got to the bottom of that yet, but I would expect that to be absolutely bread and butter on social behaviour service that the team will provide. Again, it's something that the City Council previously didn't have a service to deliver on. So that's all quite new, and I hope we'll be able to report back to you on some progress. I hope we'll be able to report back to us, but we've just got there.
Thanks, Nick. The very last question is from Terry.
Hi, Nick. You're saying that the kids have got to recognise the marked car, so it's on its way. Why don't you use an unmarked car? The police use unmarked cars. Couldn't you liaise with the police to use one of theirs?
Just so that we're on the same subject, the car we're talking about is the police car. So
It's a marked car.
yeah, but what the kids are recognising that certain cars are out for neighbourhood policing and antisocial behaviour purposes and will deal with them, whereas other cars are sailing past because they're out on, they might be on a blue light job or they've got something else to respond to. So what I was referring to is something that we're hearing about the police's cars being recognised. We don't have a patrol car for the antisocial behaviour team, and there won't be a car that they come to recognise from the city council side of things. So this is new information that we're hearing, but we're hearing that the kids have an awareness of certain specific cars, and they know that if they see those cars, then they're likely to get dealt with. So they're avoiding them. But it's not a city council car that we're talking about, the police vehicles. So I can't really help you as to what might they do differently. But I think it's quite new information for the police as well. So we'll be having that conversation with them.
Well, it only takes one teenager to recognise a number plate. Thousands know it within seconds.
It's the modern world, isn't it? I spoke to St. Councillor Cliff Dean last night.
Just a quick couple of things that I've been involved with this carry on for about 10 years now. I was a previous chair of the PAC committees and wondered if you send anybody along to the PAC committees now to find out what's going on in the communities. And when I was chair of the PAC community, what we did, we had a list, a hot list from the residents who come and say, this is happening on this street, this is happening on that street. And we would prioritise what we thought was the most serious thing that needed the immediate attention. And that's what we did then. So the question is, have you got anybody going to these PAC meetings now? Another thing I did when I was involved with it, I worked alongside David Owen, who worked for the City Council, and we instigated a youth club. We discussed it and we decided that you need to break the chain. These kids that are like 15, 16, 17 plus, they're hard to change their habits. But if you can get in there early and get the younger kids to go to the youth clubs, like Musgrave, utilise these facilities that are there now. Have you got any ideas about that?
Thank you very much. Where we can and where it will be helpful, we will attend, the ASB team will attend PAC committees. But if they attend all PAC committees, that will be a lot of time taken out of dealing with antisocial behaviour. What we intend to do is to be holding weekly tactical meetings with the police where all the information that's coming in, and the City Council hopefully will be in a place to draw on additional information that's not just purely policing. So I would expect we'll look to achieve the same purpose, but on a much more regular basis, rather than just PAC committees. But clearly, where it will be helpful...
Well, the PAC committees only meet about, I don't know what Councillor Bates, is it once a month now, Councillor Bates, you meet PAC? For an hour?
Well, yes, and actually I have to say that to the best of my knowledge there aren't any apart from mine.
Well, there's one in Hitchin, there's one in Hitchin.
Well, we're not Hitchin, sorry. We're not Hitchin, or we're not going to Hitchin.
No, well, I'm just saying there are PAC committees that I used to attend, and that's what we used to do. And as a councillor, talking about Hall Park, I used to go out there on a Sunday morning and collect all the cans up from the night before. So what's going on now? It's been going on for a good number of years. And I think we've got to try and break the chain.
So if it helps, what we will be, we're at a very early stage because we're just forming the team at the moment, what we'll be looking to do is to find whatever are the most efficient mechanisms for getting all of the antisocial behaviour information. So I wouldn't like to say PAC committees, that's the answer, that's the one thing we're going to do. We're going to be looking across all the things that we could do so we've got the best information to respond. The antisocial behaviour officers won't work in daytime, they won't have a 9 to 5, they'll be working with communications, they'll be working in pairs, they'll be working 6-hour shifts that go day, they go night, they go weekend. So we'll be aiming to target the staffing to when the problems are happening. It may well be that quite a lot of that information that we get will be because ASB officers are on the duty and they're responding at the time it happens. So that's something we've not been able to do before. So if I don't have a full answer to that.
Another one, now I'm getting involved in it, do you think you could inform the local councillors of the area of what's going on? So, you know, like you mentioned Thrimbley Court there on Westgate, I presume. Well, I didn't know there'd been any problems down there. But I do know about other problems where antisocial behaviour has been going on and it's been dealt with.
The reason why I can provide you with information that I have done on streets is because those are cases that have been dealt with. what I can't do is provide you with ongoing information about cases without starting to drag you into investigation and enforcement processes that you don't want to be involved in live cases. But the question is a very valid question. What would be the best way? So I completely accept your question of how can we inform you about ongoing cases? What's the best way that we can keep you involved in those cases? That would be really helpful to us, not least because if we are dealing with a case in your area, you could really help us by letting other residents know that it is already being dealt with.
There are cases in all our areas, I've no doubt, which councillors have dealt with, like you say, antisocial behaviour, neighbours falling out. We go around, have a word and say, what can we do? How can we sort these things out? And we do quieten things down a bit.
And in relation to youth clubs, I think we talked about diversion activities already and trying to work out what it is that would get kids off the streets or out of the areas which are of particular concern. We don't have the answer to that yet, but it's absolutely a firm part of the work to identify, to firstly find out what is available, and secondly, what would the kids be willing to use.
And another problem is that when you do set these youth clubs up, is the kids that are causing the trouble don't always want to go to a youth club.
They don't want to do what we used to do when we were their age. That's the problem.
I'm not sure about that.
John, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
Finish
I
that.
don't want to ask a question. I just want to make a very brief observation on what I've heard so far.
Yes.
It's really good. It's what we're very interested. Well, it seems to me that Nick has outlined two options in which way we might want to see our money used. I think what it seems to me very apparent now, and answers a lot of the things that certainly that Ian was talking about, are we need to have a meeting of our community safety partnership committee fairly quickly so that we can discuss everything we've learned tonight and then try to assist in the formulation of strategies and all the rest of it, and feedback strategies and all those things we've talked about tonight, information dissemination. And I actually think that committee, rather than have people go to PAC meetings and all the rest of it, which does waste their time, I think, to some extent, but I do think that would be a good committee for perhaps Jeff Tagg or even maybe yourself or whatever to attend, whenever it means, to formulate, to assist in the formulation of the strategy, the overview of it, the refining of it, the improving of it, and to enable us all to work together as a team, because otherwise we won't be all working together as a team.
Absolutely, and funnily enough, the clerk said something very similar to that about half an hour ago. So to start with, the options arrangements will go to that committee for their perusal, so that's the key thing. Right, thank you councillors for all your questions. More importantly, thank you Nick for all your time, it's been really valuable. Thank you very much. Okay, now then, we come to the planning development environment, so I'll give a little moment for those of you who declared an interest to leave the room. I nearly said leave the building, but if you sit on planning, yes.
Well, only Yorkshire Dales here.
Well, that's not a planning thing, that was a for us. Well, we've minuted his exit, so if he comes back, we'll minute that too. But if you're not in your place, as long as there's 9 of us, we can continue with the business of the council. So nobody he's on planning, isn't he? Okay. Last call for anybody who wants to leave the room. Marvellous. Right, at this point then, we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is the minutes of the Planning, Development and Environment Committee, which you'll find on page 7 of your supporting papers. So I'll hand over to David Rissick, the chairman of the meeting.
Thank you. Refer to the meeting as dated 3rd of June 2017 of the Planning and Environment Committee. At this meeting we did look very closely at 2 interesting planning applications, and as you can see, I'm not going to read all through the intricate detail that's before you, but we have undertaken some action and put forward our thoughts on it and our views on it to be sent to the planning committee. In regard to the main one, the agenda, on page 9, to the one that is actually not in our lap, not in the Morecambe Town Council area, but it's for housing development. I do have a strong feeling that the councillors for Skirton Ward are also putting their views on that as well, or certainly one of them is, and so that's, so we've got an ally there in regard to our views. Moving on to the, we have allotments update, bullet point 14. Bullet point 13, we decided not to partake in that consultation because it wasn't really relevant to the Morecambe area. It was more of something to do with rural area really. But the allotment update, there's been one or two developments there, and myself, Councillor Pattinson and Councillor Bates actually went on a site visit and a plot inspection a couple of weeks ago, and I think my colleague Councillor Bates will agree with me that it was a fair plot inspection. There was one or two concerns about plots, and those plot holders have been communicated with in a fair manner. Also, I attended their last meeting as well, their last committee meeting, and there was, they discussed issues of concern, nothing really saying. What they were planning though was their stall at the West End Festival, and they had a stall at the West End Festival, and it was very nice. Managed to buy some salad off them and spring onions, so it was great to see them partake in a local community event, and you can't beat locally grown produce really, so that was very good. Moving on to an ongoing issue which is also positive, and that's Morecambe in Bloom. That's progressing very well, and also hard work's been undertaken, and judges have been around, the national judges, but we are awaiting the local competition, the results of that. So best of luck to everyone who's taken part, and again, thank you for everyone who's been involved, and thank you to our officers and everything. Thank you for that.
Right, questions to the chair of the committee, specifically questions.
Thank you. I did attend that meeting, but you haven't got my name on it, I don't know why. And we always get a frosty sort of greeting when we attend the meeting. I run a surgery at 11 o'clock on a Saturday, and this meeting is meant to be 10 o'clock, and we're stood around for about 10 minutes while the one gentleman turned up to get it, said that the meeting had been cancelled. So then we had to wait for some gentleman to come in a car, and so it took quite, about 10 minutes. So which I missed the rest of the. It was a good, it was good walking round. That was positive. But I just don't like it when we get a frosty greeting every time we turn up, as though the meeting's been cancelled. And so, David, I just wondered if you found out why that gentleman said that the meeting's cancelled.
No, I haven't found out that yet. I think probably it's down to a lot of miscommunication and all that. What I can say is though, I think not this Saturday, the Saturday after, we are town councillors are paying a visit to the allotments to enable allotment holders to come and confidentially voice any concerns. I think that's a week on Saturday. That's about 11 o'clock, I think. So, sorry, 10 o'clock. Yeah. So that'll be a useful exercise. I think what it's about is improving our communication, our interaction between ourselves and the allotment holders. And attending that meeting was I have to say the meeting I attended, that committee meeting, was very, very good hearted. They were, they discussed the issues on the allotments, nothing that's, of a concern, but I think we've just got to start working, on an honest basis with them, and let's improve our communication, and any concerns do need to be raised, really.
Janice?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just going to say that I've got in my diary the 29th of July, the visit to the allotment, and I saw John Muir, who's the Secretary of Allotments, at the West End Festival on Saturday, and I said, we're all coming up to see you. He said, yes, and we're looking forward to it. We've got everything ready for you. So it seemed quite...
About you,
Yes. But don't bring over.
I'm going to go every time.
Sorry?
Yeah, mine's just an observation about one of the planning applications. River of Pleasureland, Marine Road, Central Morecambe. If you haven't seen it, It is the most god-awful, ugly building in existence. Associated landscaping. They've put tarmac all the way around it. That's not landscaping.
It's a ground. Well, it's a sort of landscaping.
It really is
It's a nice
ugly.
It's ugly.
Not being an architectural expert, but I know they're going to provide some jobs. John, you're next.
Just a brief little bit of information for Margaret, really, because you couldn't say we did find out why they said the meeting had been cancelled, not because it had been cancelled. The people who normally do the plot inspections had all decided to go away that weekend or were not available, and so they decided to cancel the plot inspection. What they didn't do was tell us. They decided to cancel the plot inspection. So to be fair, one must be fair, they did rustle up members of the committee who were willing to come out and carry out a plot inspection that day. So we hung around to wait. It did mean we were late starting, but you couldn't have stayed for the whole lot anyway, because it took nearly 3 hours. So you'd only have lasted about an hour of that anyway. But that's why it was lack of communication, maybe in a gentle way, without wanting to badger them, in a gentle way we can point out that if we're going to be there, they really got to keep in touch with us.
Right, David, so are you moving the recommendations of the committee as one block?
As one block, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. And John seconding? Yeah. We'll vote on that then. And all those in favour of accepting the recommendations of the Environment Committee? Yeah, it's clearly carried. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we can bring our colleagues back in who yeah, we'll come back in before we move on to the next item, which is going to be finance and management. She's on page 12, so stand by, Councillor Hughes. It's exciting stuff, guys. Not yet. No, let the other councillors come back in first. Surely won't be long. We have, yes. Welcome back, colleagues. That's where all the real stuff goes on, is that right? Marvellous. Right, so we're on to item 7 now, which is the minutes of the Finance and Management Committee, which you'll find on page 12 of your supporting papers. So I'll hand over to Councillor Brendan Hughes to deliver the report.
These are the minutes from the report, starting page 12 of Monday the 10th of July. Just think that David thought it was quite good. Told him when it was.
My birthday, though.
Was it? Happy birthday. Mine was 45. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Okay, so we had another enthralling meeting. And what came up in that one? Okay, so the toilets came up. We were having a bit of trouble because the waste wasn't going down them. We're happy to report, like as City Council, I've fixed that, I paid for that, may I add. Hasn't cost us a penny, as the owner of the building, obviously. And because they reopened, it became apparent that they had problems with the roof, and one of the pipes didn't have a cowl on. And because we reopened them, obviously the problems came to light, and you'll see the scaffolding around the roof, and they are fixing it, obviously at no cost to us. So we thank them for that. Obviously you can see from the budget that we have a little bit of income from the toilet. I just need to remind people that it's gone now, but we never open the toilets to even break even on the costs. the toilets were provided as a direct result of what the public wanted in our survey. So it wasn't to start making tens of thousands of pounds on 20p entries. It was to provide a service that we didn't think was there at the time. And I think we've done well with the small budget we had. Has anyone been in the toilets? Well, I just pay 20p time workers, go in, and they are like a TARDIS in there. They're massive, and actually for the money we had in the budget, we've achieved a hell of a lot because the toilets are huge. And it's also worth noting that the income obviously varies on how many people are on the promenade, so if it's pouring down, obviously the income's going to be a tenner. You know, not that it matters to us, but I feel that we had to address that. Nothing much to report on that. So, they're the recommendations on page 13 that are moving. The Vintage have asked us to open the toilets free of charge. We've asked for £500 to cover our costs and potential loss of income. And David's negotiating on our behalf at the minute with that, because they don't have £500 in the budget of, I mean, what have they given, 18,000? Oh dear, right. Okay. But I'm sure David will come with a good outcome on that. Internal audit went very well, thanks to David and Abby for all the work they do on that. We picked a great auditor, I believe, somebody from out the area, part of a large company, and obviously done this before. They've asked us to draft a reserves policy, which we're going to do, and a training strategy. Okay, so they're the recommendations on page 14. The SPID is going well. We're just waiting for the county to come out and do some works on the sites to see where we can put the SPID. The notice boards, it was brought to our attention by a councillor that the notice boards haven't kept up with the boundary changes. So we're looking at the potential relocation to ensure that all wards have a notice board. You know, and maybe if councillors want to make their particular notice board look a bit livelier and put some fairy lights on, I'm sure we have no problem with that. Okay, and that's a recommendation on page 16.
Don't take that literally.
And that's it. So I'm just moving all those recommendations and I'll take any questions.
All of those on mass. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? You seconded from David? Yeah, thank you very much. No questions or points on that report? No? Well, we'll move to another then in that case. So all those in favour of accepting all of those recommendations?
I'm going to that one.
You've been on this council for how long and you're causing trouble?
There must be
No, it doesn't say.
some elimination
It doesn't.
stuff there.
You should read what it says in your recommendation. It doesn't say you're getting one.
No, you can move that one from where it is.
Thank you for that. Well, yeah, that's a better idea. Okay.
So, I know you've got a cunning plan, it'll be fine. Right, item number 8 now is the report on Community Engagement and Grants Committee from the 13th of July, which you'll find on page 28 of your sporting papers. The only member of that committee that is present this evening is Councillor Metcalfe, so I'm going to have to hand over to you to present your report, and then we'll take questions from members before we move to the resolutions.
There's 4 nominations for 6 nominations for the Achievement Awards. All the nominations were from councillors. That's all we were told. We weren't told who nominated who. We had quite a discussion about them. I must admit one I was really biased against, but it's gone through, but I won't name it. It works out roughly at £25 per head for a certificate and a frame, which will come out of our budget anyway and still leave us money in the budget. All I can tell you about the various nominees is what is written in your agenda.
Before you move on to the next one then, if we're going to move them in little blocks, I've got a question for you on that one specifically. Have you got one as well? And it's basically, what I want to ask is a really simple question. On page 28, the criteria for the community awards is mentioned, which is having made a significant contribution to the advancement, well-being and welfare of the people of Morecambe in a voluntary capacity, or demonstrated excellent citizenship, or committed a one-off act of heroism, selflessness or bravery. So those are the criteria for these awards, and of course we all know that we haven't been doing these awards for very long, but we've awarded them to such people as Sir Cedric, to John McGuinness, it was your idea, I seem to remember, to the Welcome Cafe, but not for them being a cafe, but for the defib work that they did in saving lives, and of course the RNLI, who regularly save lives on the bay. There are a number of the recommended people or organisations on this list that I don't believe meet those three criteria. And I'd just like to see clarification because I'm mildly uncomfortable with a couple.
Who? I'd like to second that.
Well, because it's in question mode, right? I'm not entirely sure how Morecambe Bay Chemist meets those three criteria.
Claire was here, she spoke for him.
I can tell you that. They do a lot of good work in the West End alone.
I'm sure they do.
If you're not well, you can't get to see a doctor, go in there, they'll sort you out. If you need a prescription, they'll take it. Over and above the duties. If you're ill, they'll put you in, sit you down, they'll look after you. There's a bloke, when I used to go in there, look, he collapsed, he was dying. I collapsed in there. They looked after me, so I think you're wrong there, Darren.
Well,
I think they've got the criteria, 100%.
Well, clearly not on that basis. I'm sure every chemist in Morecambe has a very high standard of what they do. Well, I'm sure they do. I'm not going to slag off other chemists. Let's not forget that they're in a business as well as having to care for those people who turn up with their prescriptions. That is my query and my question. That's why I asked it. So I'll move on to. Well, I'm asking a question, so I'm entitled to ask one. Seeing as we're supposed to be voting on yourself. I understand the one about Annette Smith. I think that clearly meets that criteria with food bank. That's unquestionably meets the criteria. I don't know Elspeth. But from the documentation, this appears to be a very worthy cause and a really good thing to be doing for young people in the area, and the story is quite inspirational. So I get that. I also get the one about the St John's Hospice. I get that. I have to say, I'm slightly biased about that. I used to work for Diane Smith, and I know Sylvia does some fantastic work insofar as community cohesion is concerned. Not entirely sure how Mr. Cordingley qualifies on the three criteria. So, question to the representative of the committee is how do those two meet the criteria?
I'll be quite honest, this was the one I had reservations about. But to be fair to him, he turns up real hazel shine with his little camera and his video thing and does lots and lots of 3-4 minute clips that are on Facebook that travel all over the world advertising, look what Morecambe did this weekend.
That's citizenship.
Right, so the argument is that that's advertised in the town and that's the
Yeah.
active citizenship. Right, okay. And the other one?
The Polish lady.
No.
Chemist. Well, I'll be quite honest, it was Claire that knew more about what was going on because it's her ward. From what I can gather, he does a lot, shall we say, outside of trading hours. He gets a phone call, Mrs. Blogg's down 2 streets away, has forgotten medication, she can't get there, the shop's shut. He will go out of his way to go and literally hand deliver it. Some diabetics run out of insulin. He couldn't drop me some off. Yes, certainly. You know, he does a lot outside of his shop trading, shall we say.
Right, so that's the argument in that case. Right, thank you for that, because it doesn't say that in the papers.
He does get paid.
He's already been paid for prescription, but he doesn't have to. Yeah,
Anyway.
but he doesn't have to.
His shops, anyway, excuse members, hello. The representative of the committee is trying to answer questions at the moment, and she's answered them to the best of her ability. So it's not an excuse to then have a disagreement about it. If you've got a question of your own, then you'll be on in the queue. David, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if it is actually a question. It's maybe a question on the procedure, really, because rather than taking somebody off that list, I'd like to try and add somebody onto that list, even though I know that I've missed the closing date. But if you'll bear with me, then I'll only take 2 minutes and then see what people think. And as well, David was speaking earlier on the planning meeting that this sprang to mind, because he mentioned the Morecambe in Bloom. And I think most of us know how Morecambe in Bloom works, and some of us might know Michael Morehouse, who plays a huge part in the Morecambe in Bloom and has done since the town council took over. And it just sprang to mind when David mentioned that, and I've read the list, and he's not there. And Councillor Metcalfe did actually mention that there was still funds left in their pot. And I'm wondering if there's any scope for us adding Mr Morehouse, if the rest of the councillors agree, to this list and giving him some sort of recognition.
The procedure would be that the council can consider that if seconded, and then it'd just be in addition to the report. You've got a couple of seconders straight away there. So if you don't mind, as you've just thrown in a bit of a suggestion, we'll move on to the other questioners, so to speak, because then we'll come back to that as an alternative proposal as well. Debbie.
My question was around Morecambe Bay Chemist. Chemists are heavily funded through government, through Healthy High Streets, and pharmacists are a professional body, so they're actually responsible 24/7 for the care of patients. So they know that chemist store is probably no different to any other chemist store. It's just whether, if you've personally experienced it, which is fantastic, because they do deliver a great service, but I know what the chemists do down the road, because they actually get, as part of their commitment to the code of ethics of the Pharmaceutical Society, plus what they get paid for as part of the service they have to deliver. So it's a borderline one to say what advancement are they doing. I think they're doing 100% care, because that's part of the role, the well-being, the welfare of the Morecambe, but it's not in a voluntary capacity. It will be funded, and they will get to pay for it.
Like going down Westgate, Boots, don't do that before 4 o'clock there. I've been there, done it. You know, it's what they do on it. They get paid for what they do.
It's not voluntary though, is it? Yeah, it's not voluntary. That's my
There's a lot of homes, they do a lot of charity work in there as well. They do the cancer thing, breast cancer, every year.
Anyway.
Things are there.
Terry's the one that's responded to the report. Right, anyway, the question's there. David,
Mine was not a question, mine's for the behaviour.
Alright, we'll do debate in a second. Linda.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of the chemist thing, to a certain extent I agree, I can see where you're coming from. Is there not a named individual working within that Because you said that he will go out, he will take this.
Everybody,
Is
it's
it
not only
they will also? I just wonder if there's no individual who goes above and beyond the call of duty, because I don't see that there's necessarily conflict if somebody is actually got community spirit. They might be paid for some of it, but they're certainly not being paid 24 hours a day, so I don't see
you have to drop shot on you with your mates now, which is the description of your house down on that.
Right, so I think that's a fair comment then. It's not Morecambe Bay Chemists we're trying to recognise, it's the staff of Morecambe Bay Chemists.
Yeah.
So it probably should say that, shouldn't it?
Well, that's how the application came in.
Yeah, I know. Right. Now then, back to David's proposal. I'm getting whispers in my left ear while all this is happening. I am reliably informed that Michael is a part of a double act. It's not just Michael doing this on his own, and I know he does an absolutely fabulous job going around doing some of this stuff. But he also works alongside and in conjunction with a chap called David Lowe, who does everything jointly with him. Michael turns up to the Morecambe and Bloomers bit, but the actual work on the ground to deliver the stuff is him and David together. So I would be keen to sort of ask you to amend your proposal, if that's all right, so that they can both be recognised, because it's not one above the other. They're doing it as a little double act.
That's fine, Chair, just couldn't remember that guy's name.
To be honest, that was a good week. We got it for happy. Right, we wanted to move into a bit of a debate, and David wanted to say something, yeah?
Yeah. I do want to say something, because I think all the nominations that have been put forward tonight, including the one that's been added tonight, have a lot of merit. And just to mention the issue about Morecambe Bay Chemists of all the staff, really, they do deserve recognition, because they do a lot of great work within the area. And I think there's no harm in recognising a worker who goes beyond his call of duty. We might be doing this again in a few months or next year with another organisation or business about public sector worker or worker who goes beyond their care of duty to help people within the Morecambe catchment area. So I think we'll just go ahead and give this award to all the people mentioned tonight.
I don't think you're going to get too much disagreement now that that's all been clarified by the ref.
Yeah, right. The committee's quite happy for it to say Morecambe Bay staff.
Yeah, and we're adding
staff, colleagues,
whichever.
Whatever. However, I'll leave it in the capable hands of my two friends here.
And
Michael and David are to be added to that. Right. Any other propositions? We can vote on all of that now if you want, if there's no further debate. Should we vote on all of that to award these? And we're looking to give these awards out in September, yeah?
The date we came up with is the first council meeting after the summer break, right. So it will be September. Meet, if the committee, if 7 o'clock start, we'd meet at 6:30 for tea and biscuits, and then we can have the presentation.
We've got people itching to vote here. Can we move to a vote, please? All those in favour? There we go. Marvellous. That was very good. Abstentions or against? Abstention. Thank you. Marvellous. Would you? You've got your recommendations after points 7, 8, and 9 to move as well, Terry. Terry, hello. You've still got your recommendations to move on page 31. Would you like to do them en bloc?
Yes.
En bloc. Marvellous. Are there any questions about any of those resolutions? There appears not to be. Marvellous. Anyone want to debate them at all? No. You're moving them. Do I have a seconder for those resolutions on page 31? David Whittaker, thank you very much. In which case we'll move to a vote.
Can I just ask Clark on A?
What? A? Yeah.
Recommendation A.
Yeah.
What sort of response he's had, and can we use the garage, or else we're basically we've nowhere to design or build the thing.
Right, yeah, please.
The honest answer, I'm going to be honest, is I have no response because I haven't gone forward with that piece of work yet. I was waiting for the council tonight to agree that.
Right, let's move to a vote then. Unless there's anybody wanting to debate the debate. No, right, marvellous. So we're moving all of those on 31. All those in favour of those recommendations? Oh, are you seeing this out?
Well, I didn't realise that it mentioned the carnival in there.
In which case, I'll accept the fact that you've not taken part in this part of the vote, because we're still quorum. So that's fair enough. That's clearly carried. Wonderful. Okay. Right. Getting back, Alice. From page 9, you'll remember this was brought by a member at the annual town meeting, a member of the public, which is why the clerk's going to now speak to that and advise you on what the next step of it is.
Thank you, Chairman. A member of the public raised a question when he spoke that he thought it would be a good idea if all the back alleys were gated, because that would reduce fly tipping and social behaviour. At the meeting, the Chairman said the Town Council would discuss that. A member of the public spoke tonight. The Town Council has no specific power to implement gates itself, which would probably be quite costly anyway. However, a member of the public has asked us to consider that. So my advice to you is, if you think that's something that should be considered in this town, our only course of action to start off with, I think, would be to discuss with Lancaster City Council and the Highways Authority whether it's possible and all the ramifications around that. And that's probably as far as you can go at this stage. Going back to do we have a power issue? So we have no specific power. We have as a parish council, you have the power to discuss any subject that's raised that you think is appropriate with, enabling higher up authority. So you've got the power to discuss that. Just at the moment, you don't have the power to implement it yourselves.
Would that be added to the agenda for a liaison meeting with Lancaster City Council then, presumably? As a request from the council? Yeah. David's proposing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a big piece of work that will be upon us if we do that. It's, both the research. I mean, the problem is getting landlords on board as well. I asked this question tonight to Nick, and I just hope that we can do something about it and look at it realistically. It was tried years and years ago in the West End, and there are aspects of this that failed, as we see the evidences before us, but there's no harm, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't try it again. Maybe see what they do in the rest of the country. In some areas in Manchester they have alligators, and it's worked quite effectively. Bigger authority, more wealthy, we've got more leeway, but let's give it a try.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can at least bring it up and discuss it. It's not a panacea, we all know that. It's got its strengths and its weaknesses in equal measure, I suspect. Right, marvellous. Yeah. Right, item 10 on the agenda is the notes from the liaison meeting. There's really nothing to add to it, so unless members have got any questions about the content of the briefing now. Any questions? No? Super duper. Oh, sorry, yes.
I just want to ask about the telephone exchange car park. I won't quite sure. I might have read this, but what exactly everything? What do we want to know about it? The concerns about its appearance, and has BT even ever said we're going to demolish it or whatever we're going to do with it? Because it is a complete eyesore. It's been there for 20 years that I know.
It's not actually the car park, it's the BT building.
Sorry, yeah, BT.
Yeah, it's being paid, it's been done.
Yeah, it's been done, is it?
Thank you, that's very helpful.
It's still in use. It's not still in use.
Yeah, it's just, what do they call it, brutalist architecture or something? Marvel, any other further questions about the briefing now? The good thing to report back is that every single one of these liaison meetings where something gets brought up is being brought up and it's being taken seriously. and being taken forward. So the relationship is constructive and it's working well. Right. The next meeting is on Thursday, the 21st of September 2017 at Morecambe Town Hall, commencing at 7 p.m. Enjoy whatever summer you're going to have.
6:30.
Yeah, we might change the. Yeah, you may well get a notification that it moves forward slightly, or we might move the meeting back by half an hour, depending on how long it takes to hand these out.
What day is it? 21st?
21st.